girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done.
Olá, meu povo! Sejam bem-vindos a mais uma live do canal Us na Amazon. E hoje eu tenho um convidado super especial, Jamison Philippi. Eu vou fazer o meu melhor para traduzir para vocês, então vou falar para vocês em português, vou conversar com ele em inglês e traduzo de novo para vocês para português. E é isso aí, gente. Jamison, thank you so much for being here. I'm a fan.
Definitely.
I'm always like seeing everything that you post on Instagram. We have a big community of Brazilians here that they mostly sell on Amazon or they want to sell on Amazon. And today we're going to talk about how you started, about, you know, that you have your whole, you have a really inspiring story. I've read about it. Can I ask you how you started on Amazon?
Yeah, definitely. I actually started reselling and started on Amazon because I couldn't find a job anywhere. My last real job I had, I worked as a server at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was fired from that job, and I ended up, long story short, I ended up getting addicted to drugs, pain pills, and pretty much any pill I could get my hands on, and pretty much over a few year period, I pretty much spiraled out of control, lost everything. Evicted from my apartment. I went to rehab 4 times, got arrested, went to jail, got clean, got sober. And after I was clean and everything, nobody would hire me. I couldn't get a job anywhere. So I started selling on eBay a little bit, and then eventually found Amazon and kind of just grinded Amazon, going to, garage sales, thrift stores, buying stuff off of Craigslist and stuff like that. And then slowly built my Amazon business, just going to Targets and Walmarts, doing retail arbitrage, and slowly built my business, over the last, 5-6 years. And this year, 2023, I think I'm on pace to do about 1.6, 1.7 million in sales this year.
Wow. You have... Gente, let me just... Eu perguntei para ele como é que ele começou na Amazon. E assim, eu tô me arrepiando aqui, porque ele falou que ele trabalhava numa loja, num restaurante, e ele foi demitido do restaurante. E aí depois ele se envolveu com drogas, né? Com pílulas entorpecentes, e ele acabou saindo do controle, ele ficou viciado, e ele não... ele foi pro rehab 4 vezes, acabou sendo preso. Nesse meio tempo, ele saiu do rehab, ficou limpo, e quando ele saiu da cadeia, ele não conseguia encontrar trabalho. Então, ele foi buscar alguma forma de se sustentar e recomeçar a vida. E aí, ele começou a vender no eBay, e agora ele está vendendo na Amazon. E esse ano, gente, ele vai faturar 1,6 milhões de dólares na Amazon. Então, ele saiu de viciado, condenado, para uma pessoa super bem sucedida. A história dele assim é maravilhosa. I was just telling them that it's super inspiring because I know that you've been through a lot. It's not easy, and Amazon it's not easy either.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you? Nothing compared to, but how? So you found out about Amazon, and then you're going to thrift stores. You started with OA and retail, or it was just retail?
Yeah. I did a lot of garage sales and thrift stores first because I didn't have any money when I started this. So I did that because you could buy really cheap inventory and then flip it for good ROI. And then as I slowly grew, then I slowly got into retail arbitrage and online
Mhm.
arbitrage. Once I had more money to be able to, you need a good decent amount of cash to do online arbitrage and retail arbitrage to scale. So I just slowly built it up over a few years doing that.
With how much you started? Because I know that there's people here that they have no money to start. Like I get a lot of people like with this situation, and I always talk to them. They can start with whatever they have. How much money you had when you started?
Honestly, I started my eBay with nothing. I
Hmm.
literally started selling stuff around the house.
Hmm.
There was times I would even go on like Craigslist and like people would say like giving stuff away for free, and then I would turn around and flip that for money.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I eventually started Amazon, I scraped together like $200, from my eBay profits, which wasn't a lot. I was probably only making a couple $100 a month on eBay, and I was living off of that too. Like that was my money to eat, money for gas, money to survive. So yeah, I started with Amazon maybe $200, and I just kept building it, year over year over year, and just kept grinding and kept pushing.
Wow.
So yeah, anybody could start with just about anything. You can make it happen.
That's what I tell them. That's what I tell them. Gente, eu perguntei a ele falou que ele começou com muito pouco dinheiro, né? Ele começou indo para thrifts, lojas de garage sales, lojas e comprando coisas pegando coisas que eram doadas. Aí eu perguntei para ele, porque tem muita gente que não tem muito dinheiro para começar, né? Que me conversa comigo ali no Instagram, e ele falou que ele começou praticamente com dinheiro nenhum do eBay. Ele pegava coisas doadas, assim, o pessoal tava doando no Craigslist, ele pegava e fazia um flip com dinheiro. E aí ele começou o negócio dele do eBay. E quando ele começou a Amazon, ele disse que juntou ali $200, mas esses $200 era para a Amazon, para comer, para gasolina, para tudo. E ele foi com esses $200 construindo o negócio dele ao longo desses 5, 6 anos que ele está na Amazon. E hoje ele está aí para faturar 1,6 milhões. É assim, é impressionante. I'm impressed, though.
Thank you.
I can't even imagine. So when did you start to travel all over the cities? Because I know that you do that a lot, and I think it's awesome. Because I always talk to my husband that I want to do something like that
Yeah, yeah.
next year. How do you do that?
Um,
How do you plan that?
yeah. So for as far as like when I started doing this, I don't know if you remember the reseller. If you remember Resale Rabbit, I don't know how long you've been selling for.
I've been
He was
selling
an
for
old.
3 years.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there's a reseller friend of mine. His name is Resale Rabbit, and he does a lot of thrift stores. He's a big eBay seller. And I actually got inspired by him because he used to travel the country doing thrift shops and selling everything
Nice.
on eBay and Amazon. And I got the idea like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like no one does that and does retail arbitrage. So I literally just hopped in my car one day and like took a trip from Tennessee all the way to Texas, and I shopped my
Mhm.
way all the way there, and I would ship my stuff to Amazon from a hotel room, and then I
Mhm.
drove back from Texas to Nashville, and I did really good, and that like just really kind of just like sparked me to want to start traveling more because like I grew up like super poor, welfare, we didn't have a
Mhm.
car, and so we didn't travel as a kid. I didn't go on vacations, we didn't go anywhere, so this kind of like fueled me to be able to travel and make money and see the country and do fun things. So yeah, I've been traveling hardcore now for about a little over 5 years. I've sourced in 45 states and 3 countries, and I've
Wow.
shopped at over 7,000 retail stores in the US.
7,000 retail stores?
7,000 retail
Wow,
stores,
that's
yeah.
great. And how do you plan that? Like, did you go on BrickSeek and check stock, or you just decide what city you're going and just go straight with it?
Honestly, I pay for BrickSeek. I don't really use it.
I don't use it.
I'm not.
I don't use
I
it.
probably should cancel it because I don't ever use it. But honestly, so when I first started doing Amazon, back when I didn't really have any money, like I had so much time and I had no cash. So I would
Mhm.
literally go into a Walmart and I would
Mhm.
scan every single toy in every single aisle. And I would spend, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in one Walmart, just learning
Mhm.
all about toys and scanning and see what sells and what doesn't sell. And I probably, I did that a ton for like the first year because I had, like I said, a lot more time than money. And then I slowly I didn't little did I know I was building up this toy knowledge. So now from just learning all that over the years, I'm able to go all over the country to small toy stores and small video game stores and go in there and find all the stuff that's really, really rare, harder to find, but then it's also really good profit. So I
Oh,
spend the vast majority of my time just going to, one-off little mom and pop, small toy stores. Like, they might only have one location or maybe 5 or 10 locations, not a big chain like Target and Walmart, which I do shop at those stores as well sometimes. But I specialize in going after the rare, hard to find stuff. And it was pretty much just from scanning all those toys back, many years prior.
gente, eu perguntei a ele como que ele faz, da onde que ele tira a ideia, por exemplo, ele planeja onde ele vai viajar, checa no Brickseek ou ele só decide? E ele falou para mim que quando ele começou, há anos atrás, ele não tinha muito dinheiro, então como ele tinha mais tempo disponível do que dinheiro, ele ia para o Walmart e ele ficava no Walmart, assim, 8 horas numa loja, escaneando tudo e aprendendo, e ele se especializou em brinquedos. Então, pela falta de dinheiro e pela dificuldade e a necessidade de aprender, ele passava 8 horas escaneando para poder aprender. Vocês aí reclamando, dizendo que não está encontrando produto. E aí, nessa brincadeira, ele começou a se especializar em brinquedos, e ele começou a entender de brinquedos, do que é raro, de games de brinquedo. Então, o que ele faz hoje em dia? Ele vai para essas cidades menores, ele busca lojas que só tem 1, 2, às vezes até só 5 lojas em lugares pequenos. Não é tipo um Walmart, um Target, ele compra nesses lugares também. E nessas lojas ele encontra os brinquedos que são mais raros, mais difíceis de encontrar e que vendem super bem. E todo esse conhecimento ele adquiriu porque ele passou horas e horas e dias no Walmart ali escaneando, porque ele só tinha tempo disponível, não tinha dinheiro para poder comprar as coisas. Oh, that's impressive though. So right now, you sell mainly toys and games? That's your main category?
Yeah, I'm probably like 95% toys and video games.
Nice. And how did you start with the wholesale? Because I know that you're into wholesale right now.
Yeah, I started attending, different trade shows around the country. I love going to like ASD and stuff that they do in Las Vegas twice a year. I started going to that show probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I went to the show and like I would just go to all the toy booths and I was able to like spot out all the rare and hard to find toys. Just because that's where I just have, my biggest knowledge base. And so then I've been able to build really good relationships with these vendors over the years. And so now like, I'll just, like I go to ASD and stuff like that just to continue to build the relationships with the few vendors that I buy from. Mm-hmm. And then I just, double down with the guys that I do really good at. Cause I've bought from a lot of vendors at trade shows. And a lot of times either like I'll buy something from them and then everybody else will buy it too. And then you end up not making any money on it. And then it takes you, months to sell through the inventory and then you still aren't making money on it. So, it was a lot of trial and error. I've made a lot of bad wholesale deals. It's so you have to be very careful, do your due diligence, do your research, make sure you're buying from people that you can trust. Cause there are shady people out there that will sell you items in bulk. And there's some distributors are not very honest. So you have to like kind of siphon through all the people that you can trust that are going to do good business with you and the people that are there just to solely make money off of you and, not see you win, So it's been a rough ride in the wholesale, but I'm slowly starting to get, gain some traction and move forward with it.
Eu perguntei para ele, gente, como que foi que ele começou com wholesale, né? Porque ele de retail para wholesale. Então ele falou que há anos atrás, há uns 5, 6 anos atrás, ele foi na ESD e ele começou a andar pelos booths de brinquedo, que é o que ele gosta de fazer, né? O que ele conhece, e ele conseguiu encontrar algumas coisas raras. Então ele desenvolveu relacionamento e abriu contas com alguns fornecedores. O que ele tá falando que ao longo desses anos ele teve muita dificuldade com wholesale por decisões ruins de compra, ou às vezes você comprar produtos que estão sendo oferecidos na feira, e muita gente comprou, você não consegue vender um inventário, você vende em prejuízo. Às vezes também tem um distribuidor que não vai ter uma parceria com você, ele está ali só para te vender e pegar seu dinheiro, não é uma relação saudável e causa problema. I know, the Pokémon thing. I know, yeah, she was with me at the trade show, she was like, that's
okay. That's funny.
Então, assim, ele falou que foi muito difícil, e agora sim, depois de 5, 6 anos que ele está avançando no wholesale. Like, I always tell people, because when they, like, I don't know, I think everybody thinks it's fancy. Like, when you talk about wholesale, they think it's like fancy, like a fancy stuff. And they always rush into wholesale because they feel like they're gonna, expand their inventory, make more money because they're buying more. And I always tell people, like, if you don't know how things work, if you don't know how to research, so how to source, analyze anything, you're gonna lose money with the wholesale. I did that. Like I started, and I was doing well with retail online. When I changed it to wholesale, my sales went down because it was so hard to, like everything that we buy, people were gonna go and lower the price because they will buy more than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had to change my whole strategy. And right now I do like wholesale with OA and retail because I try to keep up with the margins. I think it's a better fit for me, for my business right now. And I
Mhm.
always tell my students, like, don't rush into wholesale because it's not a good idea. It's a
Yeah,
good thing to
yeah.
do wholesale, but it's just like it's hard. That's how I feel. The
Yeah,
people
it's
lose.
challenging.
It's challenging when you start with wholesale. You tend to lose a lot of money. I don't know. I think everybody that that I talk to that does wholesale have the same feeling. When you start, it's so hard.
It is, yeah, yeah. I've lost more money than I care to admit doing wholesale. It's taken
Exactly.
me 5+ years. Like there's deals that I've done where like I've done buyouts, I've did all my research, checked Keepa. There's a deal at ASD. Me and 4 friends went in on it, and it was a deal. It was a $60,000 take all deal, one item,
Hmm.
and it was we split it 4 ways, and it was an item I had sold prior, Walmart exclusive toy. It was hot. Like I sold a ton of them for really good profit. And at the time when we found it, it was discontinued. Walmart had stopped carrying it for over a year. I knew it was a Walmart exclusive. I had all my data. Amazon's never been in stock. There was I think 2 sellers on the listing. It was selling for like $40, and we talked the distributor down to $6 a unit.
Wow.
Everything on paper looked amazing, and we bought everything they had. And I mean, I thought we got everything on the market, but we didn't. That thing shot up from 2 sellers to 70 sellers in a month. And fast forward now, this was 2 years ago. I still have all that inventory, and the item is currently selling for $8 a unit, and I paid six.
Wow.
And I've been paying storage on it for 2 years. So I'm gonna lose my butt off when I eventually do sell them. And so it's like you can do all your research in the world and you can still get burned in wholesale. So you have to be very careful when you're doing it, and make sure you're taking all the proper precautions.
Gente, eu tô perguntando para ele de wholesale porque a minha experiência com wholesale, hoje em dia eu faço 70/30, mas eu falo para todo mundo que tá querendo começar com wholesale que não é uma boa ideia, né? É melhor começar com retail, online, é mais calmo, mais tranquilo. E as pessoas que eu conheço que fazem wholesale, quando elas mudaram para wholesale, elas perderam muito dinheiro. E ele tá falando que teve uma situação que ele foi num trade show e ele encontrou um brinquedo raro que era exclusivo do Walmart, estava sendo descontinuado. Esse brinquedo estava sendo vendido na Amazon por $40, só tinham 2 vendedores. E eles era um one-time buy deal, e ele entrou com 4 amigos, era uma compra de $60 mil, e eles conseguiram um preço por $6. Então, imagina, comprando de 6, vendendo por 40. E eles conseguiram, eles acharam que tinham comprado tudo do mercado, mas não tinham. O que aconteceu? Passaram a ter, depois desse trade show, 70 vendedores no listing. Resumindo, depois de 2 anos, ele ainda tem esse inventário, e hoje em dia está sendo vendido por $8 na Amazon, e ele está pagando storage até hoje nesse inventário. Então, assim, ele tem um prejuízo muito grande por inexperiência mesmo no wholesale, e às vezes você pode fazer toda a pesquisa que você puder, mas como o volume é muito alto, também você pode ter um prejuízo muito alto. And what about Q4? What is your preparation for Q4? I know that everybody's like, want to know.
Yeah, so I tackle Q4 way different than probably 99% of Amazon sellers. I'll share a story with you as to why I take Q4 very, very cautiously, and I'm very, very conservative with my buys in Q4. So back in 2021, I joined a buying group, and there was probably 7 or 8 of us in the group, and pretty much everybody in the group was selling 5 million or more a year on Amazon. I was the small fry in the group, and everybody in the group was way smarter than I was. And so we were doing a ton of Amazon to Amazon flips where we would buy inventory from Amazon, And then once they sell out, we would, our intention would be to sell it back on Amazon for a profit. And there would be toys and different things where like Amazon would have say 3,000 or 4,000 units of one toy, and you'd be like, all right, you take 500, all right, you take 1,000, I'll take 600, and we would buy them out. And we did this probably over 100 different SKUs. And between all of us, I can't even probably guess how much we've spent, but like myself alone, I probably spent close to, I maxed out all my credit cards. I had a bunch of 0% or 0% APR credit cards, and I made some really, really bold moves that I shouldn't have done. And pretty much racked up like $200,000 on my credit cards. And I would say 75% of those flips just did not work out. And every flip that we potentially tried to do, Keepa was amazing. Like the last, you could look at Keepa. Amazon sold out the last 3 Christmases. They were out the whole Q4. It was selling for 3 times what Amazon was selling for. I mean, everybody in the group, we all were like at a consensus. Like we all came to an agreement before we made a buy that this was a smart play. We did all our strategies. Everything was strategic, and everything we did on paper looked great. And just so many of the things we bought, Amazon, unfortunately, Amazon has the same data that we do, but they have it, way higher where they know better how to keep in stock. So much of the stuff that we bought, when Amazon would sell out, it just wouldn't hit the price points where we could make any money. A lot of stuff we would lose money on. There was a few things we did all right on. But after Q4 was over, I had sold, half the inventory, and I was still sitting with $130,000, credit card bill on one credit card.
Wow.
And unfortunately, after Q4 was over, I didn't have the money to pay it. So I pretty much hit the road, did RA, and, was able to make a little money, pay it down. It took me probably like 8 months to pay that thing down back to zero with me just traveling and, doing everything. It took me, and then the following Q4 was like, basically was breaking even after all those, unfortunate, mistakes that happened. So I really learned my lesson after that Q4 that I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to freaking go after all these so-called hot toys and everything that's doing good. I'm just going to double down and stick to what I'm good at and stick to things that I know. So I pretty much run my Q4 exactly how I run my Q2, Q3, is that, I'm just going to take advantage of the velocity in Q4 because everything, sells, 10 times faster than it does, throughout the year. So I'm just going to be very, very strategic with my plays. And, I try to personally just try to avoid, like every year there's a couple of toys that are super, super hot. They come out, they hit the market, and they sell out right away. And then the price shoots up on Amazon. I've noticed with a lot of those toys that when you buy them and you sell them on Amazon, say you buy a $50 toy and you sell it for $150 on Amazon, more times than not, after Christmas is over, all the people, all the toy companies are able to catch up on demand and start, pushing this toy back out. So come January, people can go buy this toy for $50 again. They're just going to return your toy back on Amazon anyways. And then you're going to end up with a used toy into return on top of that. And so I've really, over the last 2 years, tried to hone down my skills and where I'm good at and like focus on those things and just, push the wholesale a little bit more, do the retail arbitrage, but don't do it on the scale of where I'm buying full price flips from Amazon, and just take Q4 on a little more conservatively and not bite off more than I can chew, basically.
I get it. Gente, ele tá falando que no Q4 ele usa uma estratégia um pouco diferente da maioria das pessoas. Por quê? Ele falou que há alguns anos atrás ele participou de um grupo de compras, ele e mais 6 amigos. E essas 6 pessoas que ele conhecia vendiam ali 5 milhões por ano, e ele falou que todas eram muito mais inteligentes do que ele, maiores do que ele. E ele era tipo um peixe pequeno ali, um small fish. E aí ele falou que eles compravam da Amazon, e eles faziam o quê? Eles tomavam, a Amazon tinha 6 mil em estoque, cada um comprava 500, dando um exemplo, 3 mil em estoque. E eles na cabeça deles, eles iam zerar o estoque da Amazon, e quando zerasse o estoque da Amazon, toda a parte de número batia certinho com o que eles queriam. Então, eles achavam que ia chegar num preço X. Resumindo, ele comprou $200 mil no cartão de crédito dele, que ele tinha na época. Só que 75% das decisões que eles tomaram não aconteceu. Então, o número não acompanhou a realidade. É o que eu falo para vocês sobre testing buys, né? Sempre falo para ser cauteloso. E aí, quando passou o Q4, ele ainda tinha 130 mil dólares no cartão de crédito dele e não tinha como pagar. O que ele foi fazer? Voltou para o básico, foi para a estrada, começou a fazer retail e ele demorou 8 meses para poder pagar esse cartão de crédito e passou um tempo para poder se recuperar. Então, dos últimos 2 anos para cá, o que ele faz? Ele dobra aquilo que ele tem de bom. Então, todos os produtos que ele já repõe, que são regulares, tudo, gente, vende na Amazon no Q4. Tem uma velocidade de venda maior, então não precisa ser itens sazonais. Então, ele não vende esse tipo de item sazonal, ele dobra o volume dele, ganha mais no Q4, mas ele é mais cauteloso por conta disso. Ele falou também que acontece que às vezes que o brinquedo vende muito bem, o brinquedo que é do momento, quando chega em janeiro, essas lojas têm esse brinquedo de volta e muita gente devolve. Você acaba com um brinquedo usado e quebrado, e isso dá prejuízo em algumas questões. Então, por esses motivos, ele é um pouco mais cauteloso e usa uma estratégia diferente para o Q4. What margins do you have right now in your business, like ROI? Like when you're looking for a good product, when you're sourcing, what do you consider ROI?
So I guess it depends on if it's going to be retail arbitrage or it's wholesale or if it's online arbitrage. If I have to, with my retail arbitrage, it goes. I guess generally, it'll depend on how much work I have to do. Do I have to prep it? Does it need to be bubble bagged? Does it need to be boxed, poly bagged? Do I have to remove 1 store sticker, 3 store stickers? Do I just have to slap a label on it and send it in? So generally, if I don't have to do any work besides just slap a label on it, then I'll generally go a little bit lower. Like I would buy, let's say, a $20 toy and sell it for $35 if I just had to slap a label on it, and I would probably clear, $5 profit on it. Like, I'll do that in that situation. There's been times where I've bought, say a $50 Lego set, sold it for 80, and then cleared, $9 or $10 on it because it like flew really fast. Same thing, if I'm doing like video games, since video games are very small, they're very light, you just got to slap a label on them. Sometimes, I'll buy a, $30 video game and make $6 on it. So it's like, I really try to just like base it on like one, also two, like how likelihood is this item going to be returned? Is there a likelihood that I'm going to get scammed selling this item? Because sometimes you have to be careful on what you're selling, because sometimes like certain items will bring on, a ton of people that like to scam that type of item or something like that. So if you're going to, buy a certain video game and then you sell 50 copies, but 15 get returned or something like that. I mean, usually it's not that high. I'm just kind of giving an example. That way you end up not making any money overall because the returns were too high. So, for myself, like that's why I've never really got into apparel and shoes, because I could just never crack the code with doing those, because I didn't never sell enough to justify the returns I would get. So like I would, kind of shy away from doing those. But one thing what I like about toys is that, they never expire. They're generally popular year round. They're just a lot more popular at Christmas time. And they generally can have the lower end of like getting returns and stuff like that. So, if I have to do a lot of prep work to an item, then I'm going to want to make more money on it. If I'm doing bundles, poly bagging, putting 3 items in a poly bag, and then I generally want my ROI to be a little bit higher the more work I have to do.
Gente, eu perguntei ele sobre o ROI, qual que ele leva em consideração. Ele falou que depende do tempo de preparação. Então, se é um produto que, por exemplo, para retail, que ele só tem que botar o label, não tem que fazer nenhum tipo de preparação, ele pode comprar um produto, por exemplo, de $20, vender por 35 e lucrar $5. Ele pode comprar um Lego de 50, vender por 80 e lucrar 9, $10. Porque é fácil de fazer. Mas se é um produto que ele tem que colocar bundle, bubble, qualquer outro tipo de preparação, ele quer um ROI maior. Eu vou abrir para as perguntas agora. So I'm gonna have everyone like making any questions, because I know that they're doing a lot of questions over here. Edgar,
Okay.
Are you there? So it's just gonna show up here on the screen. What is the minimum ROI and margin that you're doing? Z is asking.
Also too, like I will add too, like if I'm doing wholesale, because like some of my wholesale stuff I'll buy and then I'll have them either ship directly to Amazon, which I only do that with distributors that I extremely trust. Because I have done wholesale before where it's like I buy from the wholesaler and like I'll let them ship to Amazon for me. And then like they've labeled, 800 items they labeled wrong. And then I had to remove them all. And then I had to deal with all the consequences, the bad feedbacks from the customers. So, I'll take a lot lower or ROI on an item. If I don't have to touch it and it goes directly to Amazon safely with somebody that I trust, then I'll go even a little bit lower on my ROI and stuff like that. And then like some of my wholesale stuff that I buy, I'll buy and I'll have send to my prep center. I have a prep center also that I use for OA, and they're also a really good prep center that will hold my inventory for me. So I also count into like, okay, do I have to pay storage? How long am I going to have to hold this stuff? Because sometimes when I do a wholesale buy, like I'll buy a year's worth of inventory, because some of the distributors will be like, okay, you have to buy all 2,000 of these or you buy none of them, because we don't want to, ruin our reputation. We don't want the price to tank, because it's like if you get 20 sellers that buy 100 each, then that price is shooting right to the bottom when everyone. So some of my distributors will only sell all of what they have or none of what they have. So it's one, I do like that, because then it limits my competition, but then also you're stuck, you're stuck selling through for a year on one SKU sometimes. And then you're, also paying storage on top of that. So like, I'll have to factor that in. So my ROI is going to have to go a lot higher, because I know I'm going to have to be paying, pallet storage for, 5 pallets for 12 months. And then I factor that in also. So, but at the end of the day, like I would say like my average ROI at the top of my head doing wholesale is probably around maybe 30%, which can be which I feel is pretty good but it's taken me years to build the relationship with these people to get the pricing that I get. Like when I first started buying meat from these people, I was sometimes making 10, 15%, but I knew I could build a relationship with them. So I kind of took the low hanging fruit that wasn't that great just to build up the reputation, to show that I'm serious. And then like I've become friends with these people. And then now they give me the good deals where I don't have to barter anymore. They just give me the price. This is what we have. This is the price. There's no negotiations anymore. Like we're at that level where there's no back and forth. They just give me the price. And then, now I can make my solid 30%. Sometimes it's even higher than that, but I would say on average about 30% ROI on my wholesale.
That's pretty cool. Gente, ele falou que o que acontece? Ele trabalha com distribuidores que falam para ele o seguinte: ou você pega o inventário todo, ou você ou eles não vendem. Então, o que acontece? Às vezes ele tem um produto que ele compra e manda direto para a Amazon. Só distribuidores que ele já conhece, porque ele já teve problema com isso. Então, os distribuidores que ele não tem que triscar no produto, ele aceita um ROI mais baixo. Tem distribuidores que ele tem que armazenar 4, 5 pallets ao longo do ano, porque ele tem que comprar um volume grande, tipo 2, 3 mil unidades, porque o distribuidor não quer queimar o listing. Isso é uma vantagem, porque ele tem menos competitividade, e o lado ruim é que ele tem que fazer um storage desse produto. Ele manda no prep center aqui e segura esse inventário para ele. Então, esse storage fee, ele coloca no cálculo do custo, né? Ele leva em consideração. Mas, numa média, ele falou que hoje em dia ele ganha aí 30% de ROI, mas chegou um tempo que, antigamente, só para construir relacionamento, ele ganhava ali entre 10%, 15%, mas ele sabia que, a longo prazo, ele ia estabelecer uma boa relação e isso ia melhorar. Então, hoje em dia, é uma conversa direta, eles já dão os melhores deals para ele. Eles falam, olha, esse aqui é o preço, a quantidade mínima é essa, que você tem que levar. Não tem muita troca de e-mails e negociação, porque eles já estão na melhor fase, ele já virou amigo das pessoas, já se relaciona bem, então acaba indo os melhores deals para ele já com o preço correto. What advice do you have for whoever is starting on Amazon? Like, if you're new on Amazon, what is your advice?
One thing that's great, I think is great about Amazon now, and then also can be a problem about Amazon now, is that we have access to like an overloaded amount of information now. When it comes to Amazon. When I started Amazon, there were like no YouTube videos, there were no paid courses, there were no groups, like there was nothing. Like you had to figure it out on your own. You had to figure out how to ship a shipment, how to prep everything, how to do everything right, how to get it into Amazon. And then you learn through all your mistakes is how you kind of, were able to learn how to become a good Amazon seller. And now it's like you can literally YouTube, Instagram, Google, anything on Amazon, and you're going to get 50,000 different, results. So, I would find, when you take advice from people on Amazon, find a few good people that, like have a good reputation where they continually give good advice. Just follow a few good people that you can learn from. And just, be careful from the people that are just there to, maybe, lead you astray or kind of lead you down the wrong path, or just give you some like crap advice just to make, get clicks and get likes on their videos and stuff. So just find a few, I have a few people in the Amazon community that I follow on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and like I try not to like sway out, because there's so many people that are giving advice. Some is really great and some of it sucks. Like some of it could get you in trouble, could get you in, like I've seen some really bad advice out there where they're just basically going to get you suspended if you follow their advice. So that's probably one of my main tips, is just, be careful who you're taking advice from, as far as when it comes to Amazon.
Yeah. Gente, ele falou que tem um lado bom e um lado ruim. Hoje em dia, tem muita gente compartilhando conhecimento no mundo da Amazon, né? Diferente de quando ele começou. Quando ele começou há 6 anos atrás, ele teve que descobrir tudo sozinho. Não tinha muita gente que entendia de Amazon, ou compartilhando curso, informação. Então, ele aprendeu pelos erros ao longo de muitos erros também que ele foi fazendo. E hoje em dia tem muita gente compartilhando conteúdo. Então você coloca qualquer coisa, aparece muita gente no Instagram, muita gente no YouTube. E o problema é que tem muita gente dando conselho errado também. Muita gente que só quer like, muita gente que não entende o que está fazendo. Então ele falou para você procurar por pessoas que têm uma boa reputação, poucas pessoas, seguir essas pessoas e ter muito cuidado com o tipo de conselho que vocês seguem, porque algumas pessoas falam certas coisas que, se você seguir, você vai ter sua conta bloqueada. I think I agree with you. There's a lot of people like saying like drop shipping, like doing bad stuff that we know you're gonna get in trouble for it.
100%.
What do you consider a good lead when you're sourcing? Like, what makes a good lead?
There's a lot of factors when deciding what's going to be a good lead. One, if you're, doing retail arbitrage, is it a store exclusive? So that way there's probably a limited supply. Obviously you can't go to every single store and buy it. Two, what's the rarity of it? So like when I give advice or talk advice, it's going to be generally about toys, since that's what I know. So like, depending on what toy brand you're selling, or what type of, whether you're selling like Super Mario, Nintendo toys, Halo action figures, Minecraft stuff, Roblox stuff, when certain toys come out, sometimes they'll like release rare variants or rare figures within that, release of like action figures. Like, so sometimes you can do really good if it's rare. So it kind of like depends on like, okay, how much of this is going to be on the market? Is it readily available online and in store? So like if I'm at Target and I'm scanning toys and I find a toy that's really profitable, but then I go check Target.com and it's for sale, and then I go check Walmart.com and they've got it, and then I check Kohl's.com and they're selling it too, all for the same price. Like, it may look good on Amazon today, but I promise you in a week you check back, that thing's going to have 80 sellers on it that fell for it and went for it, and you're not going to make any money. So if it's too readily available, there's probably a reason for it. It's probably very common. You probably won't make money on it more times than not always guaranteed, but just to be, something, because I've made that mistake, so many times. Amazon changes a lot. Years ago when I'd go to Target and Walmart, I could go find common stuff that I could go to every Target and find, 5, 10, 15 of one item, and go to every store, find them, sell them, and make money. Now you go to Target, like, you can't do that anymore. So you have to be very cautious, because there's going to be, 1,000 other people out there around the country that are scanning stuff too, that are going to be doing the same thing. Like, oh, this looks really good. And then you check back next week and it's got 50 new sellers and nobody's making money. So you got to be very careful with that. Sometimes that's why I do like doing retail arbitrage, because sometimes the stuff I find in store, you can't buy online, or it's not available online. So that will right there will kind of give you a nice barrier to entry and will limit your competition. So there's so many factors, also too, is like, you got to keep an eye of like how many sellers you're competing against, can you merchant fulfill it? Maybe, get the sale a little bit quicker. And also too, like, is it a category that a lot of people are going to be gated in? Like, I can sell, like, a category that I love to sell in that not a lot of people can sell in is, LOL surprise. So like, I know there's a good chance I could go, and that's a tough one right there. So a lot of people can't. So I take advantage of that. So I can go into a Target and Walmart sometimes and find a common LOL toy that I know I can buy and flip for a profit, because I know there's not going to be many other people that can do that. So I could take advantage of the more common, easier to find LOL toys. So just try to figure out, where your advantage points are when you're, sourcing and finding stuff. One, like, like when I ship my stuff into Amazon, I get lucky. My stuff ships to the warehouse 15 minutes from my house, and it's live. And it's back ordered, but it's live sometimes within 24 hours. So sometimes I can take advantage of that where I'm going to be live and active for sale before a lot of other people. So just figure out where your advantages and then figure out where your weaknesses are as far as, where is your items getting shipped to, can you beat everybody else to the market, and just, how readily available the product may be.
Ele tá falando que uma coisa que é bem interessante, eu não tinha pensado nisso, na verdade, é quando você tá fazendo retail, que às vezes você encontra um produto que tá rentável na loja, você tem que olhar os sites. Ele falou o seguinte: se tá bom na loja, e tá no site do Target, tá no site da Walmart, tá no site da Kohl's, daqui 1 ou 2 semanas vai estar todo mundo vendendo esse produto, você não vai fazer dinheiro. Então, ele gosta de pegar produtos que são exclusivos de loja, porque exclusivo da loja, de in-store deals, muita gente não vai poder comprar, né? Muita gente que está comprando online não vai fazer. Então, ele tenta olhar muito essa questão de competidores no listing. Outra coisa, ele falou que a LOL, por exemplo, ele não é restrito, né? A LOL, aquela boneca LOL, aquela marca, é praticamente restrita para, sei lá, 99,9% dos vendedores da Amazon, inclusive eu. E ele não, ele pode vender. Então, ele falou que quando ele encontra, por exemplo, esse produto da LOL vendendo na Amazon, mesmo que seja um produto comum, ele sabe que muita gente é restrita na Amazon, então ele não vai ter competição. Então, ele vai lá, compra e vende. Então, ele olha muito essa questão de competição e se muita gente está restrito. É bem interessante isso. Eu mesma sou restrita na LOL. Acabei de checar, tá, gente? I just checked it. I'm still restricted on LOL. That sucks. How do you find those I know that you learn about scanning stuff, but now these days, how do you find out about toys, like the rest of the good stuff? How do you find out about that? Like good brands to buy it?
I mean, like for toys, so for me, for like toys, I try to stick to the brands that I know, the brands I'm comfortable with, because like also when you are, selling certain brands, also, we can obviously get, inauthentics or IP complaints from the brand owners and stuff like that. So you have to also watch out for the companies that are going to come after you, with complaints or give you inauthentics and stuff like that and mess with your account. So you also got to be careful when it comes to that. So I've learned over the years, sometimes what brands are going to hit you, what brands aren't going to mess with you. So I try to stick with brands that I'm familiar with, brands that, like do very well. I sell a lot of Legos, I sell Funko Pops.
Funko Pops, that's nice.
I stick with like a lot of brands that I'm familiar with. I sell a lot of Roblox and Minecraft stuff, some, Super Mario stuff. I sell a lot of Halo action figures. So sometimes, like if you're out at Target or Walmart and you're scanning toys, say if you look at the Halo action figures, you can pull a Halo action figure off the shelf and you can look at the back of the box. It'll show you all the action figures that are in that series. So usually you'll look at the front of the box, it'll say like Halo action figure series 12 or something like that. And then it'll have, 10 or 8 different figures in that series. And then I'll look on the shelves and see everyone that's there. I'll scan them all on Amazon. And if there's an action figure that's on the back of the box that I don't see on the shelf, I'll manually look that one up on Amazon because maybe that's a rare one or hard to find one. I'll manually look that up. It's like, oh wow, that one's going for $60. These cost $20. There's not one here, but now I know to look for that at other stores, and that's how you could slowly build a list. Another toy that I sell a lot of too is I don't know if you know the toy brand Gojitsu. They're like the little rubber, like if you're next time you're at Target and Walmart.
I know that you have a rare one, but I never found that. I never found it at Walmart.
Yeah. So like with those ones, if you look at the back of the box on those, there'll always be an ultra rare in the back. And so you can get one right there. And those ones are very hard to find.
If you find it, because I never found one. Like I've always looked into it because that's the only thing that I see that's rare. Like one day I'm going to find this. Never found it.
So the thing that I like about finding the rare figures of those is like you have to look where other people aren't looking. Like I've gotten lucky and found them at Target and Walmart and stuff like that, but that's where everybody shops. So you have to like try to think, like go off the path and like, okay, where can I find something like this that nobody else is looking? So like for me, I shop at like just when I'm going grocery shopping, some of the grocery stores that I shop at will have small toy sections. And I've had some really good luck at my local grocery stores where I go look at their toy section where I can find, really rare stuff because nobody's going to the grocery store to look for a Gojitsu toy, So I've done really good. So try try to figure out where you can find certain products. Like, there's a lot of smaller chain stores out there that like people shop at, but they don't really shop at a lot. Like obviously Target and Walmart are probably the two main stores that the vast majority of Amazon resellers go to. So you could still do good at those. You just got to be very careful. But so try to figure out like where can you source that not a lot of people source at, that are still, where there's still enough locations where you can make money. Like I do very well at Barnes and Noble. Like Barnes & Noble can be a very good store if you know how to stack the discounts. They have a membership that gives you a discount. You earn rewards for your purchases there, so you get cash back that you can use on future purchases. Sorry. And then also I buy discounted gift cards on different discounted gift card websites. So I'm able to stack 3 different discounts right there and be able to get that, say $10 or $15 price point down to, $7 or $8. And then I'm getting rewards back on that I can use on a future purchase. So I'm able to get my buy cost down a lot lower than other people. So figure out ways that you can get your buy cost a little bit lower where you're able to make a little bit more money on your products too.
That's awesome. Eu perguntei a ele, gente, como é que ele faz para encontrar esses brinquedos raros, né? Como é que ele encontra? Aí ele falou de algumas marcas, depois vocês pegam o nome, que é uma marca de brinquedo, que normalmente quando você olha atrás está escrito raro. E eu falei para ele que eu já tinha visto, e a única coisa que eu sei que é raro eu nunca encontrei. E ele falou que normalmente você tem que ser um pouco esperto para poder fazer isso. Então ele vai em lojas que nunca ninguém está vendo, que é tipo o Walmart e Target, todo mundo está lá procurando esses brinquedos, ele já encontrou. Mas, por exemplo, ele vai em lojas de grocery, de comprar comida, e às vezes tem mercado que tem uma seção ali de brinquedo, ele já teve boa sorte lá, ele vai na Barnes Noble também. Outra técnica que ele falou, por exemplo, ele tem alguns brinquedos que tem vários bonecos, né? Figures, as action figures que ele tá falando. E aí ele falou que tem 6 lá. Ele olha no fundo, tem 6. Só tem 5 na prateleira. E ele tá vendo que tem 6 na caixa, um tá faltando. Aí, manualmente, ele checa na Amazon. Normalmente, esse que tá faltando, provavelmente é raro. Aí ele fala assim, opa, tá sendo comprado por 20, vou vender por 60, vou atrás desse. Então, nas próximas lojas, ele já vai atrás daquilo que é mais difícil de encontrar. Então, é assim que ele vai buscando aquilo que é mais difícil, que tem menos concorrência. That's pretty cool.
Thank you, man.
She said that if you cannot do FBM because you're working, what kind of device you can give it to her?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
She cannot do it. She cannot do FBM, commercial fulfillment.
Okay.
Because she's working. She works.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
What else that she can do?
Honestly, yeah, I don't do any FBM myself. I'm not set up for it since I travel so much. I don't really do a lot of FBM. So, I mean, since, the thing with, if you have limited time, then you're going to have to, like, the best thing you could do is, and the free time you do have to do this is that you're going to have to obviously get a lot more done in the little bit of time you have. A lot of people work full time. They've got kids, they got husbands, they got wives. So like they may only have 4 or 5 hours a week to, take care of business. So you either are going to have to squeeze, your buying, your shipping, your shopping all in that small window, or see if there's a way you can outsource some of it. Do you have kids that are old enough that could, prep for you while you're at work? Do you have, somebody you could hire that could shop for you? Do you have a list that they could go after and go out and buy these items for you, and you could pay them, $1 or $2 an item for you or something like that? So like if your time is limited, you're going to have to find a way to outsource, some of this work, because clearly, 4 or 5, 10 hours a week is not a lot of time to do this. So, or, if you're able to do OA, are you able to do that while you're doing your day job? Can you do both at the same time? You got to figure out a way that's going to give you an advantage point so you can try to get some work done and be able to get shipments in. And then, that small window of time you have is, probably the best time where you should focus on shipping everything in. And then if you can get help doing that as well, would be great, if you have limited time.
Ele falou que ele mesmo não faz FBM, mas assim, tem muita gente que trabalha o dia inteiro, tem filho, tem tudo, e tem ali 5, 6 horas por semana para poder fazer. Então ele falou assim, se você tem um filho, bota seu filho para trabalhar, para ajudar, seu marido também. Ou então você pode fazer online arbitragem, manda para um prep center, paga alguém para ir nas lojas procurar o produto para você. Então tem várias formas que você pode fazer, se você decidir fazer esse negócio, para fazer acontecer. There's any restriction to flip from Amazon to Amazon flips?
If you're going to do Amazon to Amazon flips, the key thing you have to do is make sure that I have a separate buying account for Amazon, and make sure you don't have a Prime membership attached to that account. So like if you so everything that you do buy from Amazon to flip on Amazon, you just got to make sure you do it with a separate account and don't have Prime shipping. Like don't pay for the Prime membership, because that will get you in trouble with Amazon. That's pretty much the only thing you have to just make sure you do not use a Prime membership when you're buying on Amazon, because Amazon will be able to, Amazon is beyond advanced when being able to know what you're doing and everything that you're thinking. They're on top of everything. So they will catch you if you're, buying with a Prime membership, and you probably will get banned for doing that. So just make sure you don't use a Prime membership.
Yeah, because I know that if you use your own account and you're not doing Prime, you're not in trouble, right? Because it's not forbidden, but you cannot use Prime.
Correct. Yeah, as long as if you're flipping it, then you can't use Prime. Yeah, just make sure you're not going to use Prime if you're going to flip it back on Amazon.
Se você está fazendo Amazon para Amazon, você não pode comprar com o Prime. O bom, ele falou que ele tem uma conta separada. Ter conta separada não é requisito, mas o ideal é que você tenha uma conta separada, just in case. E também não use frete Prime, porque aí você vai ter problema. A Amazon não permite que a gente faça o flip de Amazon para Amazon usando o frete Prime. Então, quando você estiver comprando, não tem um Prime membership nessa conta que você está fazendo o flip. What were your biggest mistakes doing wholesale?
I would say my biggest mistakes doing wholesale is, I'll, elaborate a little more, is, be careful who you're buying from. Because like you'll walk into, like, I guess I'll say this. I've noticed I don't do a lot of beauty sales in general, and I don't do any beauty wholesale. But I have walked the floor at ASD, and I've looked at some of the beauty distributors. You have to be careful. I'll just, not saying that category in general, but just with everybody you do business with, because there's a lot of people out there that are just looking to, that are looking to not do right by you. I've known multiple friends that have done wholesale deals with beauty suppliers at ASD, $10,000, $15,000 orders, and then they get their stuff in the mail and everything's expired. Like they purposely sold them expired beauty. Like they'll show you the good stuff on the floor at the ASD show, and then this is obviously the most cliche advice. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. There's times I've gone to ASD and I've seen like a really good toy, and it's like, $20, $30 profit. It's like $5, and they've got, a ton of them left, which is really weird for that to happen. And I've done the deal, and like, that's kind of like how they get their foot into the door. Because like if you buy one really good item at a vendor, the chances are you're going to buy some medium to low ROI items there. Because like they want to get you to start buying. Because once you're open to buying, then you could make bad decisions. And there's been times where I've bought some really good stuff, and then when it's come time to ship the order, all the really, really good items were mysteriously sold out before the show. So sometimes vendors will put items on the shelf that they know are sold out just to get you to buy other stuff. Also too, there's been many times where I've bought something that I think I was going to get, and then they've shipped me the wrong item, whether that be a mistake or on purpose. Sometimes you don't know, or sometimes, when it comes time to ship, they'll be like, oh, we don't have this item, but here's this one instead. It's no good on Amazon, but here you go. Do you still want it? So you just got to be careful, stay away from those types of people, and just be very, very cautious. Like if you can, try to find someone that that's been in the wholesale game for a long time that could maybe give you some advice on specific vendors. Like I have friends that, go to ASD and they'll go to a toy vendor and they'll be like, hey, I saw this really good toy at this vendor. And I'll be like, no, I've done business with them in the past. I probably wouldn't buy from them. So be careful. So I would, if you know someone that's been doing in the wholesale game a little bit longer, then maybe you have, like, see if they know who the vendor is. Is there a good reputation for that vendor? Is there a bad one? And also too, once you get to know your vendors, a lot of my vendors will open up to me and tell me all the bad vendors at the show and be like, watch out for them. This guy scammed me. Because a lot of these vendors, it's funny, a lot of these vendors at the show actually buy and sell to each other. And so I've had people, like some of my really good vendors, like they'll give me the scoop on all the people you can trust, all the people to watch out for. And it's crazy that there's a lot of people that are very flashy, very charismatic, very friendly, like very just like, like you think they're good people and they're not. So you just got to be very careful with that, and just, just be very cautious when going into like a place like ASD or any other trade show and stuff like that.
That's nice. Ele tá falando que quando você vai num show, em trade shows, você pode comprar de alguns fornecedores que, por exemplo, beauty. Ele conhece pessoas que compraram o produto e quando chegou em casa, o produto estava totalmente vencido e o supplier mandou para eles vencido, produto vencido. Eles compraram 10, 15 mil dólares. Distribuidores que compram de outros distribuidores na feira, pessoas que são de má índole, então tem que ter muito cuidado quando compra diretamente de distribuidores para você não ter problema mais lá na frente. Outra situação que ele falou foi que ele tem uma relação muito boa com os distribuidores hoje em dia, então os próprios distribuidores dele falam assim, olha, esse distribuidor você não compra, esse aqui você não compra, esse aqui tá scamming. Então ele já tem uma relação boa com os distribuidores dele, que eles já apontam para ele quem não presta nas feiras. E ele falou também que é bom você ter alguém que tá no game de wholesale, por exemplo, quando ele tem um amigo dele que tá comprando um toy, fala para ele, achei esse toy aqui nessa feira, desse distribuidor, o que você acha? Ele fala assim, não compraria, porque eu já fiz business com eles, não é bom. Então, sempre tem alguém para você ter um conselho para saber se esse distribuidor é bom ou não. What do you think about just selling FBA? I think that's what he does. Mainly FBA, only FBA.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, that works for me. I mean, I have a lot of friends that do just merch and fulfill. I have friends that do both merch and fulfill and FBA. I have a good friend of mine that actually he's super smart and he's got a big team though, so it's easier for him to do it. He'll ship an item into Amazon FBA and he'll sell that same exact item merch and fulfilled at the same time. So he'll be getting sales from both angles.
That's what I do, yeah.
So it's like I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with that. Me, I don't have the brain capability to do merch and fulfill and FBA. I'm not that smart, and so I just stick to what I'm good at. Obviously both have their pros and cons to doing them. There's good things about both, and there's cons to both of them. And I would just honestly just do what works for you in your lifestyle that you have.
Ele falou que funciona para ele tranquilamente, ele faz FBA, tem gente que faz só FBM, tem gente que faz os dois, tem gente que vende, compra produto, manda FBA e vende o mesmo produto no FBM também. Ele diz que ele não é bom para fazer as duas coisas ao mesmo tempo, então para ele funciona 100% FBA e tá tudo certo. What are your best-selling categories?
I mean, my best-selling categories is toys. That's just what I have the most experience in. And, I just like selling them because the toys do fairly well all year long. And, I have a lot of friends that will do, beauty and grocery, and like a lot of that stuff has expiration dates, and I'm not smart enough to keep track of all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like toys. I don't have to worry about them expiring when they're sitting at Amazon a little bit too long. So, yeah, that's the long-winded answer.
Toys, gente, brinquedo. We have 2 more questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's all good.
For beginners, which store do you recommend to be approved for toys? I don't have a company, so it's in my personal name. And I know when you have a company, it's easier for toys.
Yeah, good question.
I think Target.
Let me see here. I've gotten ungated in toys. I forget. I don't remember if you can buy from them if you're just a sole proprietor. But I've bought from in the past when I needed to get ungated years back. I've used, entertainmentearth.com, and I've used Sheffer as well. Sheffer is a toy wholesaler. Yeah.
I think Sheffer, you might be able to buy.
I think on their retail website, I believe. It's been a few years since I've done it, so I don't want to say that's for sure that it works, because it's been a few years since I've had to get ungated in toys. So yeah, I would check Entertainment Earth's possibility. It's so weird with getting ungated in categories, because it's like I've heard some people have success using a Kohl's invoice from online, and I've had people tell me that doesn't work, so. I think sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved in it, and with what invoice they'll accept and which one they won't. Yeah, I would probably start with Entertainment Earth and maybe Sheffer, and then go from there, because those are ones that I've heard, they've got a better success rate as far as them getting accepted.
I'm going to have Edgar put in the website of Sheffer here. Gente, Target is doing that. Target is ungating everything because they provide invoice. So when you buy,
and I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, when you buy with the shipping or delivery, you cannot do pickup or in store. you can download the invoice and I'm getting all the categories, all the brands super easy now. Então, Target, gente, Target está fazendo isso por você, tá? Muito mais fácil. Ele usou a Schaeffer e ele usou a EE Distribution quando ele fez há anos atrás. A EE, normalmente, você tem que ter uma empresa aberta ou tem que ter um certificado de resell em pessoa física. E o Schaeffer, eu pedi para o Edgar colocar o site aqui, que eu acredito que o Schaeffer talvez aceite pessoa física. Não tenho certeza, não lembro. Mas vocês podem entrar em contato com o site e ver. Então, esse é um distribuidor de brinquedos que também serve para desbloquear. Last one. For someone that's starting right now and don't have a lot of money to invest, $500 per month, it's a good amount to start? Or
Honestly, I would start with whatever you have. Because like you could sit there and save, say you have $500 and then you could sit there and do, say, your day job, and then you like slowly save up for the next year and you get to, 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever. Just think of how many times you could have bought inventory with the first 500 and then flipped that and gotten to that point. So honestly, I would start with what you can afford to start with. And just make sure that the one thing that I do like that I think is really good, which I think people with, like, say you only have 500 to start with. One thing I think your advantages of, starting with, a smaller amount of money is that it's going to force you to make good buys. Because if you had, say, $50,000 to spend, you might just start buying like crazy and then make some really bad decisions. But since your money is limited, it's going to force you early on to make better buying decisions, because you're going to want to find the fastest flippers to get your money back and the highest ROI that you can for your money. So I would get started with that right away.
Gente, ele falou aqui para você começar com o que você pode começar. Ele falou assim, tem gente que espera 1 ou 2 anos para juntar $1.000, $2.000. Quanto de dinheiro você poderia estar fazendo flip de venda nesses 500 que você tem disponível agora e você está esperando porque você acha que é pouco dinheiro? Quando você compra $500, você é forçado a tomar uma decisão boa de compra. Então, você tem que comprar um produto que gira mais rápido, que tem um retorno de investimento um pouco maior, porque seu orçamento é limitado. Estamos falando de uma pessoa que começou com 0 de dinheiro. Tá? Ele pegava produtos doados e ele vendia no eBay e fazia dinheiro em cima para poder comer e para poder vender as coisas. Estamos falando de alguém que foi preso, saiu, não tinha trabalho e hoje faturou $1,6 milhões e começou sem dinheiro nenhum e sem trabalho nenhum, gente. Então é super possível começar esse negócio com pouco dinheiro. Basta você se dedicar. Well, I think that's it for today. I would like to, let me see. Oh, Luciana is saying thanks a lot.
Of course, of course.
Patricia is saying that she found you with the Pokemon suit. Santana is saying that you have a very interesting story. This is unbelievable.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration. Thank you for sharing. What else? They're saying, wow, that's a great perspective. Thank you for sharing your experiences.
Of course, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
We're all like amazed of what you've done. It's not easy.
Thank you.
I hear a lot of people that has a lot of excuses to start. Like they come with that, I work a lot. I don't have any money. I only have this. I only have that. And I just feel like if you want to start, you just started though. You can get
exactly.
You can get stuff donated in the streets and flip and start the business if you live in US. It's just not easy, but it's not impossible.
Exactly. Anybody could do this. I mean, you don't have to be smart. I am not smart at all when it comes to this. And I came from super poor background. We grew up on welfare. We had no money growing up. I didn't have any money when I started this. I mean, I've been to rehab. I've been to drug rehab 4 times. I wasn't even, when I was trying to get a job, when I was going through me trying to find a normal job, like I got turned down for a job at Walmart to push carts for $7 an hour. Like I wasn't good enough to work at Walmart for $7 an hour. So that just gave me more drive to want to do this and make this work. Like if you have, the hustle in you, the drive, the determination, the discipline, like you can make this work, with whatever you have. Like we all have different challenges that we've come from in our past and stuff. It's like anybody can do this. Like this one thing is like, it's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do. Like you just got to put in the time and put in the work and, make good decisions. like this is definitely doable for anybody.
Gente, ele tá falando que ele veio de uma família pobre, ele cresceu num lugar pobre, ele falou que ele não é inteligente o suficiente, o que, gente, ele é muito inteligente. You're super smart. Come on. You're super smart. You think that you're not smart, you're super smart. Ele falou que ele não é inteligente e que ele foi para rehab 4 vezes, ele foi preso, ele não tinha trabalho, ele falou que chegou a aplicar para um trabalho no Walmart para ganhar $7 para empurrar carrinho, e ele não conseguiu o trabalho, porque ele não era bom o suficiente para fazer esse tipo de trabalho. Então ele foi forçado a fazer a Amazon acontecer. Então se você é uma pessoa que corre atrás das coisas, quer fazer isso acontecer, você vai fazer, vai conseguir fazer. É muito fácil você fazer esse negócio acontecer, mas também é muito fácil você arranjar desculpa para não fazer o que precisa ser feito. Então, ele falou que, independente do seu background, de onde você veio, da sua situação financeira, começa com o que você tem, e se você quiser mesmo, você faz acontecer. And here you are, like, it took you 6 years, and now you sell over $1 million, and you started with no money. That's amazing.
That's right, and anybody can do that. Anyone can do it.
And you have to be smart to do that, by the way. You're saying that you're not smart, you're super smart. There's no way you can. You gotta be smart. You gotta be smart. Well, thank you, guys. Gente, muito obrigada. Thank you so much for being here, Jason.
Of course, yeah.
Can I, if you don't mind, put in a private chat your Instagram so I can have people, they can give you a follow.
Definitely,
Gente, sigam o Jamison lá no Instagram dele. Ele compartilha o dia a dia dele lá, dá altas dicas. Vai ter um pouco mais do testemunho dele lá na Amazon. Eu pedi para ele digitar aqui no private chat. A Edgar vai colocar um arroba aqui para vocês seguirem ele. Não, Luciana, não. Essa conta essa free account não serve para nada. Não adianta, gente. Isso aí é algo que você... she's asking about the Amazon free account. I'm letting her know that's not good because you're not eligible to buy box. To the buy box.
Yeah.
Gente, esse é o Instagram do Jamison Philippi. Então sigam ele, tá? Quero ver todo mundo seguindo ele lá. Vão lá, agradeçam. Assistam de novo essa live, que toda vez que você estiver desmotivado em casa, reclamando da vida, você vai ver que seus problemas não são nada. E que se você quiser chegar lá, você levanta a cabeça, sacode a poeira, junta os cacos e recomeça e chega onde você tem que chegar, tá? Faz o que você precisa fazer. É isso. Thank you. I'll see you.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, take care. See you. Gente, vejo vocês na próxima, daqui a 15 dias, na próxima live. Muito obrigada, Edgar, roda o VT.